Yeah, okay. I think it was muted. So have your opening prayers ready and requesting the teachings and so forth. Okay. 출제하는 아니겠죠? 아니지만 지금 Dharma 충분되는 놈에. Okay. 마음 단장을 말씀해요. Can you hear me okay? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. And the opening prayer book is done now. I think it's on page 26, the 7 branches. It says Dorjilopen Sangepel. You have that? Dorjilopen Sangepel, Desum Jola, Chancelo, Chonsum Tembe, Shingjurala, Nime Yiki, Chansun Ching, Ejuro Yiki, Namdrupe. Tampe Chemba Shesu Se Ngudru Chowo Chebenge Neje Malu Shambaragi Choju Korsum Tabe Che Mocha Chelai Jeyera Tabe Taji Jirma Me Zobe Janchu Semgedo Teshe Wanchu Sembala Daba Sumge Lubelo Tseran Rambe Gewa Namdu De Janshu Chemboro Mandala offering. Sarji Pechu Juje Medo Dramre Rai Lingshe Nede Gemba De Sange Shingdo Mikde Purwaye Drogun Namda Shinglai Jembarasho Yidam Guru Radna Mandala Kam Niryataya Hami Semche Namke Sambada Loye Jedra Jeda Vara Chechon Tenmon Tempaye Cheke Korlo Kordo Se Dezum Sange Tam Jege Ngo Rigdan Kyo Koro Jamso Kada Kadren Sunda Me Be Drinchen Zame Lame Shabge Pe Mo Dur Drema Me Bala Gosum Ge Bai Chembe Chan Tselshing Chapsu Cho Jenge La Paraje Du Se Temba Lame Sange Rinpoche Choba Lame Damche Rinpoche Tremba Lame Gede Rinpoche Chamne Kwenjo Sumla Chan Tsenlo Tabge Tuje Shancha Riso Chung Shenge Metu Deke Pongchompa Sergel Humbo Dambu Jibego Shaja Gebo Shamla Chan Lo Palden Tony Shudra Supale Kenze Yakaranga Sandro Charbe Kanjen Kedro Yonke Zujen Cho Zoke Dorje Rove Lamara Tandang gombo jizen jambe yon lo chan chen lo gangen lo dren taranam dara sewe jinne dinguen jishin sekshen nike to kara lek bam zen ganda sinte chen lo ma de min ton dong e kisewe. Rozo gun lo bu je dar zen yon la zhu zhu yang den so zhu dar she zhu nyen lo nen lo leke jan zhu zhe ze chen ma re mu se dinguen nyu gu jinne che ze re re lo. Tene dajen sacho tarzen yenden lezo gyase towe ko choda chodan chone genre dallemen se jambe yang la rabdu de omara bazana de omara bazana. Omara bazana de 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 tenden kege kenra vezerke. Dalle de mumen barab sene kada tenche shunlo tobai. Lodre bobe na wa zendo se cheko kondo sambo gomba ye dorje samba garab dorje da shire singa bardo jinla de dama jen da de sumgi zo chen jube la ma la se wa de ugen pe ma jun la se wa de konzon dorze garab shire sin pe ma kara jeban yushunga sozor nuna terden jansa so Katarlama namla sewa hande zamlin zebe jendo chone dan toje lonto nyambe tonga. Nautre dambara bebe turjo ke korde chegoro zobe lon chemba drime uzere shamla sewa hande. Onser zen dendor jeze mawonde sheme ba taye jab dada pejon getsa drobeng. Jigdra yeshe doje la sewa de sange kunge chime pe ma jon shinder trube zen lon chenche. Kange yang se chile norbola se wada so dreme jenge lo choge lama namge gyat sabto wangor lonzen chome shendech. Pepe nerjor kunban zo chemba sange doje shabla se wahande. Omin chege inge podana de sun sanje kunge ngo nedran sem che kungon sunten zebe. Tsawe lamme shabla se wade nelo toba ke wara jenge lo le wara shepa. Popa kendo sa nam ka danyam be simjin thamchen nam kin tengi dewa lana machi pa yang dak par zope janjo rimboche. Jinne chan topar ja deye chendo che zammo dine tsuljin do sente ten nyam sulim bar gyo nyamba. Samba jache wa janju simke kunlong dan chebe konne sembara shu. So that's how we open the class. So with the 7 branches prayer, which includes a refuge, and then the 7 branches, and then the aspirational prayers and all of those, and then making the mandala offering and requesting the teacher to turn the wheel of Dharma. And then after that, I just do the invocation of the blessings of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, Guru Rinpoche, then Yidam deities and lamas and so forth like that. So that was what I did. And then now, in order to enter into the main part of the teachings, first of all, please give rise to the precious motivation. That is to think of all motherly sentient beings to be brought to the state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. I will engage in listening to these profound teachings and bring forth the understanding of the meaning of these profound teachings and thereby engage in my life. So with that, and then whatever is taught in the sutras and shastras and the tantras, what we need to abandon and what we need to cultivate while listening to the teachings, please do so accordingly, and then listen to the teachings. We are here listening to the teachings on the Omniscient One. The title of the teaching is called An Account of the Stainless 4 Seals of the Dharma. The 4 stainless seals of the Dharma. Unfortunately, this teaching is not translated in English, so you'll have to just listen as I go on reading from the Tibetan and then I'll try to translate as I go along. So, Cheki Domji Temba Chima Mepe Tam. It's called the account of the stainless teachings, which are the four seals of the Dharma. So you come to understand what are the four seals. Cheki Domji Dima Mepe Tam Lama Konjo Sumla Chancellor. So the title of the teaching is Cheki Domji, the four seals of the Dharma. And it's stainless account of the four seals. So the teaching is divided into three main parts: the title, the main body, and then the conclusion. So the title consists of the name of the text, and then also the homage rendered by the author, and then the commitment that the author makes here. So the title I already went through, and then now the homage rendered by Longchen Ba. The author is the Omniscient Master Longchen Ba. So first of all, he prostrates to his Lama, who are inseparable to the three jewels, and then goes on praising, says, "You who are perfectly adorned with the sublime qualities of excellence." So he is offering this praise to the Buddha, saying that you who are completely or perfectly adorned with sublime qualities of excellence, you have come to the consummation, or you have transcended all of the rivers of faults and defilements. So when we say the faults and defilements, the river of birth, aging, sickness, and death. So having realized that, bringing forth realization of the perfection of wisdom, and then the end of suffering, then he went on to performing the benefit of all sentient beings by teaching the Dharma extensively. So after having taught 84,000 teachings of the Dharma, they need the rabzognes, perfecting the awakened activities of the two benefits, benefit for oneself and benefit for all sentient beings. And then he demonstrated what is called as parinirvana or nirvana. So to you who performed finally the demonstration of passing or entering into nirvana, to you I prostrate. So that's the homage or the praise in the beginning. And then he makes this commitment here. Why prostrate to the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, and Buddha Shakyamuni, and so forth? Then he says, Jitara Papa Balang Tagshindu, Cheki Tomji Raptu Ewayi, Dupe Tsolaning Ne Kuwaitsik, Nempe Kaching Laki Sembarashu. Then he is saying, just like how like Goraknath is saying, the Lord of, and he is referring to the cowherder, like that, referring to like Krishna and so forth, like the worldly gods and so forth. Even the worldly gods, having listened to the Dharma teachings, Cheki Domje Rabdo Yawai, relying upon the four seals of the Dharma, so even the worldly gods relying on these kind of teachings of the Buddha, then they brought forth realization and freedom from samsara. So to you all who have gathered here, Then Longshan by saying, Dupe Tsokla. So to all of you who have gathered here in order to entrust you into Dharma from the bottom of my heart, Nempe Kaching Laki, this is what is very soothing to hear, to listen to your ears, and this which summarizes all of the essence of the teachings of the Buddha. So please listen to it. So that's his commitment. He's saying, I will go on explaining the summary, which is enchanting to listen to. So please listen to it. That's his commitment. Rabkar Getso Yuzer Dong Toshing. So like the sunrise, like the sunlight, illuminating perfectly or radiantly. Rangzhen Deni Chorpe Ningpochen. So when that sunrise of Dharma is brought forth, then all, like when the sun shines, the darkness is dispelled, and wherever there needs warmth, the warmth is the sunlight heating on that, performs warming the land and the soil and bringing forth moisture and so forth, like that. Jorwening Bochen, Teljorinchen. Similarly, like that is our fortunate human birth. Teljorinchen Todang Chembone, Teden Kewo Namla Lekmraba. And this teaching is to those beings with fortunate human birth here. Fortunate human birth, our body is kept like a palace, in an example of a palace. And it is being advised or given to those with faith and devotion. So here we're saying those fortunate ones with faith and devotion, this eloquently or elegantly expressed, Tetar Norzin Tak na Nangwa Ye Pinzo Dayan Temba Mayinpa. So this Dharma teaching is being taught, then here it begins the main part of the teaching. Page 128. So saying even in the world of the gods of wealth, so even in the god realm, those gods who are like the wealth deities and so forth, the god of wealth and so forth, their excellence, their wealth and possessions, so their riches and so forth, Pinzo and Demba Mainba, all those wealth and so forth are impermanent. Whoever is born will die. Whoever is gathered or assembled will separate. So therefore, understand impermanence. So understand that everything is impermanent and generate the sadness. Choshe is sadness. And then understanding impermanence and that sadness bring forth the urgency or understanding that there is an urgency in understanding the Dharma. So only we need to hasten in our practice or understanding Dharma. Dodo Nanimi Luniken then goes on saying, among the 6 different kinds of cyclic existence, human being or attaining the birth of human being is very rare. Further, even rarer than attaining the birth of human being, Tewe Thamba, Namdang Teparken, it's even more rarer to come across the teacher Dambanam, to come across the teacher who teach the Dharma. Furthermore, it's even rarer. It's even more rarer to receive the Dharma or to get the Dharma or to receive the Dharma. And likewise, even more rarer to conduct in Dharma. Dewe cheto padang chepaken, dewe sabden ningpo ten tonken. So knowing that, again, if it is even more rarer, those who bring forth the understanding of the meaning, the essence of the profound teachings, or dewe sabden ningpo ten tonken, sorry, like the teachings of the Dzogpa Shenpo or the heart essence and so forth. In order to understand the genuine meaning of those profound teachings, it's even more difficult, so it's even more harder. And then he says, this precious human body, so this lifetime that we have obtained or we have attained this precious human body, which is like finding an excellent ship or like an excellent boat that we can ferry across the ocean of samsara. So he says, so this is the time that we have attained the great ship of fortunate human birth, endowed with freedom and excellence or endowments. Rabzab lame menga tuzingi, and furthermore, on top of that one, we are now so equipped with the facility of like the sail and the mast and so forth. So this boat that we have obtained of this fortunate human birth is now equipped with perfect sail and mast of the pith instructions of the Lama, who is profound, like excellently profound. So Lama's excellently profound pith instructions is received. So here the example is our fortunate human birth is like this excellent boat, receiving the profound, excellent pith instructions of the Lama is that we are equipped with this machine or motor in this excellent boat. So having done that, then what we can do is we can ferry across or we can sail across the ocean of samsara. Dunga jantso kalwa tembarze, so Longchen by saying, strive to traverse or to sail across the ocean of samsara. If we do so, Rinpor Mito Jangchu Choksange, we will attain the supreme Buddhahood and become Buddha in no time, like very quickly, Rinpor Mito. So it won't take so long for us to attain Buddhahood, the state of the Buddha. It says, Jangchup Chok, the supreme Buddhahood. But if we waste our life in indolence or like in laziness, and then we don't reach ourselves on the path of freedom, if we don't place ourselves on the path of liberation because of our laziness, then then it will be difficult for us to say where we will be born in our next life. Where we will land in our next life, it's hard to tell. During that time, we won't have any freedom. Right now, we have the freedom to practice Dharma. If we want to ferry across the ocean of samsara, we have that capability. But once when we die and when we wander in different realms of samsara, it will be difficult to tell if we will ever meet Dharma. And there's nothing to do about it. If we don't find Dharma, there's no way to place ourselves on the path to traverse the ocean of samsara. During that, at that or in that lifetime, there's nothing that can be done, it says. So therefore, bring the power, bring the strength of diligence at this very moment. So bring the diligence of practicing Dharma right now. So this is like, he is like an advice Longchenpa is giving. This is the advice of how we want to bring forth the understanding of the four seals of the Dharma. Our life is like a cloud in the sky. You think it is there at this moment, and pretty soon it has already moved from there. So our life is like that, impermanent, like the cloud moving in space or in the sky. Luni yorpo shindu temela, and our body is just like a scarecrow. It's constantly moving, like scarecrow put out in the field. There's nothing that can depend, we can depend on that kind of scarecrow or our body. So he's saying our body is like a scarecrow in the field. There's nothing that we can trust or rely upon it. Chidamide nubo and then the Lord of Death. Death is getting closer by the minute, just like the shadow of the northern hills. The shadow of the northern hills, as the mountains start to move, then the shadow of the northern hills start to get closer and closer. And then pretty much the shadow catches up the mountain. So similarly like that, death by day and by hour and minute and so forth, it's getting closer and closer and closer. We're not running further from death, but death is getting closer and closer to us. It's saying just like the example of the shadows of the northern hills, the northern mountains or northern hills. Sorry, the western hills. Because the sun goes to the west and then you can see the shadow becoming shorter and shorter. Keching me de chikpe chechendu. Keching me de chikpe chechen. So, the Lord of Death does not wait a single minute. Every minute, it's closing our life, little by little. So he's saying, catching me there. It does not remain still for a single instant or a single moment. Everything is the nature of impermanence and death. So please realize that from this day onward. So this is his advice. He's saying, please understand that death gets closer and closer day by day. There's no way for death to wait even for a moment. So understand that. So realize that. So understand that. Understand this certainly, or understand This definitely thing. And then he goes and says, Kema Togdak Dengni Mabina. Oh, alas. So Longchen Bai is writing this, composing this to his close students, like all those who have gathered there to receive his teachings. And sometimes he's just composing this kind of inspiration, advice. So they sing, alas, my friends, Dengne Mabina. If we don't do it from today, if we think, oh, I'll practice Dharma tomorrow, or maybe next month, maybe next year, or so on and so forth like that. This is if we don't start from here right now. If we die, what can we do? There's no way at all. So we have to act right now in engaging in Dharma. That's what he's saying. If the appearances or the facade or this display of this life comes to an end, there's nothing we can do. So there's no way to engage. Saying, oh, I want to put practicing Dharma next month or next year and so forth. What if death comes tomorrow? So the thought that we were going to practice Dharma next month, next year, and so forth is left undone, and there's nothing that we can do now. So that's why he's saying, no, please put it into practice right now. If we don't, then if death comes, then it will be difficult that we won't have anything else, that we won't be able to do anything about it. When death comes, it will be like wandering in a strange place where we had never been before. It will be like meeting people that we had never known. Chame is like unknown places. Jume is like unacquainted people. So you're in a strange land. You're in a strange surrounding or like strange environment. You know no one. If you have to wander in such kind of place, you are all alone. You have no friends. You have no protection. You don't have any companion there. You don't have any relatives there. Nobody is there to benefit you or help you. And in this strange place that you're wandering, and in this strange environment, all that follows you is the result of your good and bad karma. Whatever we did while we were alive, all that concept or all that play or display of good and bad and so forth is now following us or is unfolding. Whatever we accumulated, hoarded in our previous life, starts to display, starts to reveal here in this strange place, in this strange environment, where there's no friend, where there's no companion, where there's no protector. So strange things are now manifesting, which are now the result of whatever we did in our previous life. Suchang Jurme, now those kind of results that I'm experiencing there, nobody can turn, nobody can change, nobody can do anything about it. Suchang jurme gedik debu nyong. So I'll have to experience the result of karma that I had accumulated in my previous life, and no one can do anything about it. So therefore, please exert in virtue right now, Longchen Bai saying. Please exert yourself in accumulating virtue or engaging in virtue. Jitar namda thushi jordokshin, just like how seasons change, like from winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to autumn or fall, fall to winter, and so forth. You can see the weather changing, the climate changing, the sun, the warmth, the coldness, and so forth. Everything is changing like that. So likewise, likewise, our life, our body is similarly like that. It's constantly changing, like the seasons. There is nothing permanent in our life. There is no saying whether we'll die tonight or tomorrow. There's no certainty. So it's hard to tell. We can never tell, or it's it's unsure whether we'll die tonight or tomorrow, like that. Tata nidu challa chambari, so please engage yourselves in persevering in Dharma. Tata nidu challa chamba, so engage diligently in Dharma right now, he's saying. Ningbo maybe ludi chikching daughter. This body has no essence, he's saying. Will be destroyed. However much we care for this body, eating vitamins, feeding good food or organic food or whatever, you think you want to live long, exercise, or you do yoga or all of those things and so forth. However much you care, this body will be destroyed. Not only will it be destroyed, we cannot hold on to it anymore. Our mind will separate from the body, and the mind will completely cast, or will completely have to abandon forcefully, or Doris, like, well, just dump. This body will have to be dumped. The end of birth is death. We understand the end of birth is death. So, Deljin Jorwe Kembe Tsedela. So this life, when this life is adorned with this fortune of freedom and endowment, this precious human body, Tharpe Lamzam Nyegla Tsumbarje. So exert yourself to arrive at the path of freedom. Tharpe Lam Sang Nyegla. So set yourself on the excellent path of freedom. It's what he's saying. So practice Dharma. Place yourself on the path of Dharma. So we think that we have received teachings, but then if you don't step on the path, then we haven't entered on the path. So therefore he's saying, you have this well-endowed, fortunate human birth. Now place yourselves on the path, an excellent path, the path of Dharma. So Tarbe Lam here is saying that path is the excellent path. Samsaric path is the mistaken path that's taking you astray. So if you set yourself on the path of Dharma, that is the excellent path that will bring you to liberation sooner or later. So that's he's saying. So be diligent and exert yourself on this excellent path of liberation. Tatai sating towa didakchang, loje nangdu lupa kamela. All of these beings in this world right now that we know, that we hear of, on top of the surface of this earth, in 100 years, no one will be here anymore. None of us will be here in 100 years. Everyone will be gone. Nobody will be left in 100 years. Lobur neken we could die because of sudden illness or sudden death, or some kind of disease that comes up circumstantially or like that, or sudden death and so forth. There's no telling. It's uncertain. Yabame means there's no definiteness about it. Ningne mita chua sambare. So please think of impermanence from the bottom of your heart, he's saying. So that's his advice, he's saying. Think of impermanence, not like we talk about Dharma talks impermanence and so forth. We kind of word out like a parrot. So he's saying, not like that. Think sincerely or earnestly from the bottom of your heart. So think about impermanence from the bottom of your heart. Korwe janso tingta pakeshing, the ocean of samsara, the depth, the profundity, how vast, how big it is unfathomable. Korwe janso tingta pakeshing said, it's so vast, it's hard to fathom the end of the ocean of samsara. Chiwe jikpe kewa pataye. Then birth within samsara, death within samsara, and so forth within samsara. It's so vast, hard to fathom, like that says. Chiwe jibe kewa pataye. So how many are born, how many are dying, and so forth. They're countless. So just like the depth of the ocean or the vastness of the ocean, similar is birth and death in samsara. It's countless. Gangdu kechan dungel chushi zen. Wherever we are born within cyclic existence, the four kinds, here he says, the impetuous river or the unending river of these four kinds of sufferings are always constant. Kangdu Kechang, wherever we are born, this unending river of these four kinds of suffering: birth, old age or aging, sickness, and death. These are the four kinds of suffering. The river of suffering, it's constantly flowing, it's constantly moving. So, if you are, wherever we are born, if you are born as God, there is birth, aging, sickness, and death. And not to mention in other realms, human beings, demigod, animal realm, hungry ghosts, hell realm, and so forth. This kind of suffering is always going on and on. There is no way to escape from this one. So then, Longchenpa is saying, so bring forth the power to strive to free from this ocean of suffering. So put greater effort, put greater diligence to bring forth the freedom from such kind of suffering of samsara. This life is impermanent, constantly fleeting like the cloud in the sky. There's nothing permanent about it. There's nothing lasting about it. It's constantly fleeting or moving. Our body that we think will last for some time is exactly like a bubble. It's going to burst any moment. It's going to pop any moment. So saying, it's our body is like a bubble that's ready to burst any moment. Dirtso Drempo Tate Gelake, just like, so this he's writing to those students of his who have gathered together, and then he's saying, just like we have gathered here at this assembly or this gathering here, we are all bound to separate. We're all going to be separated. We're not going to be here together. We are heading towards separation. So all of us who are gathered here right now, we're ever ready to part. Tamche milam date ningbome. Whatever we did, whatever we experienced, and so forth, has no essence. It is exactly like a dream. Has no substantial reality. That we thought we were doing this and that and so forth. Has no essence. Tamche milam date. It's exactly like a dream. The dream that you had, you thought it was so beautiful and so forth, has no essence. Likewise, whatever we had achieved or had accumulated in this life has no essence. It's like a dream. All these compounded phenomena, all this phenomena of samsara that come together, there's nothing that we can trust. There's nothing that we can place our trust on, or we can place, can trust upon. So then think, like we think, oh, wealth is important, then we accumulate wealth. We think, oh, other kind of things are important, and then we engage, and then we try to achieve that, and so forth. All of those that we place our hopes and trust and so forth, there's nothing that we can rely on. It's just like the dream that has no essence. So then he is now advising, so meditate on the meaning of the essence with a diligent mind. It says. So meaning practice in the Dharma very diligently. So practice on the genuine meaning of the essence through a diligent mind. So practice diligently, that's what he's saying. Tsedi milam chume na wala mike dembrazume jipatul. All of the experiences of this life are just like a dream phenomena, just like a magical illusion. It's just like a play, a magical play, an illusory play. And unskilled beings, so unskilled beings think that these illusions are real, and they take it as real. They think it is real and true and so forth. And they are confused. So they grasp to be real. They think it is true and so forth. And they are fooled, or they are deceived. They are confused. Then understanding that if we grasp into this illusion, that we will be confused, we will be deluded, we will be deceived. So understanding in that way, so dedicate and diligently practice in the essence of achieving the Buddhahood here, achieving the freedom from samsara. So illusion, when we are caught in that illusion, and then we think that's real and so forth. Rather, understand that if you don't realize that is an illusion, we will be deceived. So therefore, you're saying, exert yourself in delusion in understanding that all of these things are unreal. Even these fortunate human birth, or the precious human birth that is endowed with all of these 18 kinds of qualities, it is like the sun in the sky. You think it's here now, later it goes. You think during the daytime it's here, and then during the night, the sun is nowhere to be found. It's on the other side of the hemisphere, like that. So likewise, we think we have fortunate human birth, but after some time, that will be gone too. So it's just like the sun. You think it's there, but it will sooner or later will lose it. Chitta mide nubri dimashin, and death will come. Death will never halt. Just like the example of the Western Hills, the shadow of the Western Hills. Sooner or later it will catch. Jikten chime nawa chardune, the display of your next life is getting closer and closer, meaning your next life is getting closer and closer. Drogdak thousand lelo semborne, then Longchen by saying, "Oh, my friends, give up that mistaken belief of thinking that this fortunate human birth will be permanent. Give up this laziness," he's saying. And you think, laziness is based on not understanding impermanence. He's saying, give up this laziness. Don't think that everything is permanent. So practice Dharma from this day onward. From this very day itself, practice Dharma. So please practice Dharma. That's what he's saying. Dani melgi tama derdugne, he's saying, I'm as if now on my death's bed. That's what he's saying. Dani melgi tama derdugne. Chuve dubab jungshi dutsuldang. Now I have arrived at the point of death. These elements are now winding down. So all of these elements are winding down. No bodily mobility has been lost. Our senses, the clarity of senses, are now dimming and so forth. So these are signs that all of the elements are now dissolving. And then sooner or later, when we die, the experience of Bardo will unfold. The display of Bardo will manifest. And you'll have this mirrored displays of Bardo. Very fast, scary, terrifying, dramatic display of Bardo will manifest. Nordan nin she chume toglaso. Jikten cheki tombe kabmena. This wealth, these friends and families are all like an illusory wealth, illusory friend, and so forth. Chume doglaso. They're just like an illusory friend and so forth. Jikten cheki tombe kabmena. All what you have in this samsara will become empty or will become useless. It's just like an illusion, it will just fade. When that time comes, when everything fades like an illusion, there's nothing you can do at that time. Whom can you rely upon? So when in Bardo, when all of those friends that you had and so forth are not there anymore, whom can you rely? There's nothing that you can do anything about it. So therefore, practice Dharma here and now. So if you practice Dharma now, that's something that can be done during the Bhagavad. When we head towards death, that's no coming back. That's no returning. Chida kimder takcha dragana. We'll have to go to this domain of death, to this house of the Lord of Death. That's where we are heading to. And we'll have to go, he's saying. Dragana. Jigdre nyak chik chabdang pungnen chok. What will help us remove that fear in that state? Jigdal nyak chik chabdang pungnen chok. There's only one that is fearless, that can be the protection, that can be our guide, our friend, and help, and so forth. It's the precious Dharma, or the holy Dharma. There is only Dharma that can benefit us during that time, nothing else. So please think of death from the bottom of your heart and practice Dharma. A few lines and then we're coming to an end. So Dorna Babchu Jajul Lungwadang Nubri Drima Mide Onwadang Ninsen Kechin Tangchi Jurbepe Tela Lome Chua Denjela. So in short, just like the water falling from the cliff, and then as it comes and then the water kind of winds and then flows down. Once it comes down, the water has no chance of going up. It's moving down further and then winding down to the ocean like that. Likewise, the shadow of the western hills, there's no remaining. It's getting shorter and shorter by and by. Days and nights and so forth, they also too change. They are just momentary. Kechik tangchi yutsam, it's like minutes, seconds, and fractions of the seconds, like that. So it's just like that example. So our life is also like that. There is tela long mature. So hasten yourself. Bring forth this urgency or understanding that it is urgent. Think of death and bring that urgency or hasten yourself in practicing Dharma. Tela long mature tenjela means there's nothing permanent about life. So think about or contemplate on death. So practice Dharma from now onward, from this very moment onward, or from today. Dering mita sangdu chur wechang. Dering mita sangdu chur wechang rangi cedro kechi yowate. Even what we call this today is now changing. It's just becoming shorter, or it's impermanent. And today will turn tomorrow. Like tomorrow becomes today. It's just like that. So today will just change and tomorrow will come. So this is how it goes. So so what is happening? We say today, tomorrow, and so forth like that. Tomorrow comes and it becomes. It's actually showing that our life is moving onward. My life is moving. Our life is passing by every moment. It says, "Rangi cedro kechi yowate." Life is becoming shorter and shorter. It's yowate. Nyebe chije tingne chenjashing. So then think, oh, death is certain. Death is going to come by all means. And then remembering that, so then don't plan for this life. Rather hasten yourself in achieving the essence of precious Dharma. So tell them there's no time to waste on this ordinary life, is saying. Tell along, Lona Tungwa. So understand the urgency. Tata nidu dambe tsujeche. So practice the holy Dharma right now. Namyang de me korwe druldukling. Gobe zenra chawa tokne ni semni ten la kombe wangjorwe teme zesa tensi zembarze. The samsaric life has no lasting happiness, has no happiness in fact at all, has no happiness at all. It's like in a serpent island. It's like in an island infested by poisonous snakes and serpents like that. Wherever you go, there's danger. So it's like that. Or it's like in the dungeon of a king that you're trapped, there's no escape from there. So there's suffering and suffering and suffering only. So think like that. Samsara is like that. Samsara life is like that. So understanding in this way, then practicing Dharma and understanding the nature of phenomena or nature, mind's nature, and gaining the realization or power over understanding the nature of your mind, and gain the dominion, meaning attain the state of the power that you never fall into samsara. So gain the dominion of the original state or the primordial state. Then further on, Longchen by saying, "Oh friends, Jogdak, Chiktu Gela Tsembadang. Oh friends, exert yourselves in solely virtue. Whatever you do, engage so that you only act in virtue, speak in virtue, think in virtue. So act solely in virtue." Gela Tsembadang. And then whatever you have heard of the Dharma, engaging that into practice. Then if you practice in this way, then you will have the confidence that when death comes, you are fearless. That's the confidence. Then you will be endowed with that confidence when death comes. Then says, attain that dominion, attain that state in joy and happiness. So in great joy and happiness. Droga simki tensi zimbrate. Drogda kepa kanyi chiwate. Sangdang dagi tseze deni. Ngella kangju ngepa medoshe. Ningne samte taktu chozeche. And again Longchen by saying, "Oh friends, that we are born, there is going to be death for sure. Tomorrow or our death. These two. Either tomorrow or our death. Which will come first? There's no saying. There's no certainty. Either death will come or tomorrow. There's no certainty. Which will arrive Which will arrive first? That's no saying. Ningne someday. So therefore, think like that from the bottom of your heart and practice Dharma always. Taktu chuzeche, practice Dharma constantly. Ridin lingje talwar milushing, dute lungi tongwar kabyala. This planet Earth that we think that we are living will last forever and so forth. These 4 continents and so forth of Jambudvipa. Even the existence of that one as dust and so forth. We think everything will perish into dust or will change into dust. Even the trace of the dust will not be there anymore. It will be completely blown away, tracelessly in space. The final destruction of this world system. There are different ways, like destroyed by 7 suns, destroyed by fire, destroyed by water, destroyed by wind, and so forth like that. So when this final destruction through the wind happens, even the dust, the speck of dust of this world system will be traceless. So we know that now even the world's existence will also become traceless. And then beings that we think they are on top of the planet or in this world system and so forth, they too will just dissolve into some other world systems. So, they are just like the nature of an illusion, impermanent, like the nature of an illusion. There's no saying. Now, when this destruction of this world system and so forth will happen, or when sentient beings will all dissolve like the nature of an illusion, there's no certainty. So realizing that, so exert yourself in practicing the Dharma that brings forth peace, the Dharma that brings forth the pacification of all suffering. So, this fortunate human birth, that precious human birth that we have obtained, is impermanent. Although we obtained, but it is subject to impermanence or death. Even our friends and families and so forth, that we stay together, stay close to each other and so forth. Even these friends and families that we hold close will be separated from there. And Tata nidu dambiche. Don't be attached to this life, it says. So then, if we are attached to this life, then samsaric life, the cycle of samsaric life goes on and becomes even longer and longer, that we will wander in samsara for even longer. So therefore, Tata nidu dambe chidzechi. So please practice Dharma, the holy Dharma, right now, saying. Changdang Dejun Jikten Wang Poitra. So then Tsangpa is like Brahma, like the gods, like the Brahma. And Shiva, Dejung is Shiva. Jikten Wangpo, Maheshwar, and so forth. Jikten Wangpo Dra. Drakpo Thakar. So, and then there are also, this is Avinash or something. There's one planet by the name Drakpo Thakar. Ninmorjanam, and the sun and the moon, these planets like the sun and the moon and so forth are also planets. So the gods and so the worldly gods like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahadeva, the planets, the sun and moon and so forth, even them, Chidane Tharva Kammipa, they are also subject to impermanence. There is no way for them to escape death. Even the perfect Nirmanakaya body of the Buddha, endowed with the 32 and 34 Tenzan Soni Peju Kachu, 34 excellent marks and 80 minor signs of perfect Nirmanakaya body is impermanent. We know that even Buddha, demonstrating attainment of Buddhahood, his body, eventually he had to abandon it. So we know that even the excellently endowed body, we say the Vajrakaya, is impermanent. What need should we tell about our body, which is like a bubble? So, so if even Buddha's body is subject to perishing, then needless to talk about this bubble-like body of ours, like ours. So then, therefore, generate this strong power of diligence in practicing the Dharma. So think of impermanence and practice Dharma. So that's the end of the first chapter and closes with the section of the first chapter. It says, so it's the advice, which is the first heap of this advice on all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So that's the first seal. The first seal of the Buddha says, all compounded phenomena are impermanent. So Longchenpa goes on advising to us. So this is that cluster or that heap of advice mentioning that all compounded phenomena are impermanent. Okay, so we'll stop there. If you have any questions, you may ask now. Okay.
Hello, Kempo Rinpoche.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes. I can hear you, yes.
Kempo Lasso Longchenpa tells us that Longchenpa tells us that when we die, that we'll be filled with fear if we're not prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like today when we were doing the mind training study, Kempo Ngakchun says that we shouldn't practice the Dharma with this fear of death. Like we shouldn't have that fear because it's kind of a selfish desire. So is Longchenpa trying to teach this from like a Hinayana perspective?
that's a different thing. When we practice Dharma, what is our intention? So some of us enter into Dharma thinking, oh, when I die, I'll be born in the hell realm. So in order for me to take the life form or rebirth in God realm or human realm and so forth, I want to practice Dharma. So if you think like that, if you practice Dharma like that, that kind of practice is called legmen, aspiring toward better qualities of life. So that's not renunciation. So that's not the intention of a Dharma practitioner, who that we need to abandon. So there are three kinds of intention, which we will talk in our class, in our Ngondro class. As time goes by, there are the lesser intention, the mediocre intention, and the greater intention, like that. So if you practice Dharma, fearing of death, and then just aim to take higher rebirth, then that's not the intention. So what we need to do is that fear that is a reason from death coming and so forth, we need to practice Dharma. Not that we practice Dharma so that we want to achieve higher birth in like the higher realms of cyclic existence. So this advice here, and then what we are doing in our mind training is in a different context. So the other one is on our intention. And if we intend in practicing Dharma, not triggered by aspiring higher birth, then it's exactly like what Longchen Bai is saying here, that practicing the Dharma to free ourselves from the ocean or from samsara. Mm-hmm. Do you see the difference?
Yes, yeah, I understand that the context is different, but it still seems like Longchenpa is telling us to be wary of death.
Yes. In the Ngondro, we should be fearless of death. That's what the Ngondro teaching says. What does the Ngondro teaching say? What does it say?
well, yeah, also says that we could end up being born in an unpleasant realm.
Yeah, it's. I don't think it's saying differently. If earlier here it was saying, the cycle, this continuous river of the four kinds of suffering. There is this continuous occurrence of life, aging, birth, aging, sickness, and death. It's going on and on and on and on. So Longchen Bai is saying, aim to free from that one. So it's not like saying, be afraid of death. So he's saying, understand that as long as we are in cyclic existence within this flow or within this chain of that river of the four kinds of suffering, then whatever we do has no essence, or so therefore we need to practice Dharma to free ourselves from that. So here the main thing is understand impermanence. if we understand impermanence, then we will practice Dharma, and Dharma to extract, or we'll practice Dharma in a way that we enter onto the path. We'll practice Dharma so that we extract the essence or attain the essence. We practice Dharma that we gain the dominion, the state where there is no more birth and death anymore. So, like in the case of Milarepa, he mentions that fearing of death, I took myself to the mountains. And because of that, I attained fearlessness. So that's how we need to practice. So whether you're practicing Ngondro or trying to understand this one, there's no difference. But when it comes to intention, if you're practicing Dharma just to be born in the higher realms of existence, then that is not the good intention. So you need to abandon that intention. The other one is like practicing Dharma out of insecurity. Like if you, in some countries, like if you are a monk, then they don't make you work. They don't ask you to pay taxes or do community work and so forth. Then some people just think they want to free themselves from those kind of services and so forth. Then they enter into the path of Dharma. Or then some enter into Dharma thinking that, oh, you get free food and so forth. You don't have to work. You can just beg your own food and then you can live your life in that way. That kind of practice of Dharma. Or then, I get food, medicine, clothing, and so forth for free in the monastery. So I will just enter into the monastery and practice Dharma like that. You're practicing Dharma, but your intention was propelled by that kind of aim. So then that is called Jigchop. Your aim triggered from insecurity or seeking protection of worldly gain, or from seeking protection in worldly gain. So those are the ones that you need to abandon. I don't see the difference much in, I don't understand why we should not be afraid of death. Here is Longchen by saying, recognize that everything, all compounded phenomena is impermanent. And then aim on that essence that is unchanging, which is Dharma. And then when we say Dharma, there are so many different levels. Entering, practicing, accomplishing, and attaining the state. In terms of our Ngondro practice, it would be like we have purifying, maturing, and perfecting. Okay. Did you get it?
So Longchenpa saying samsaric phenomena is a waste of time.
Everybody is saying that. It's essentially the same thing. So the first one, we are here on the first seal. That's how we go about in the path of Dharma. It's understanding impermanence, the urgency. Tela longmet. It's like saying, there's no time for worldly achievement. So you need to bring this urgency in why you need to practice Dharma. So that is thing you need to practice. Okay. Anybody else?
And so, Kimpala, the best way to really understand these four thoughts is through contemplation and meditation. Because I feel like intellectually I understand the impermanence, but I can still be very lazy.
Oh yes, that's the reason that you have to practice this. These four thoughts is applicable all the way until you attain Buddhahood. It's not just like in the beginning. And if we start with this training, the path becomes free from obstacles, but still you're in danger. You're still in the danger of later on in the practice, you'll understand there is this he was like a chieftains or like one of the leaders of a province. So then he lost to his rival, to his opponent, and the opponent took all his possession and so forth. And then later, like he felt disgusted, like everything, I've lost everything and so forth. Then he went to become a monk, a practitioner. Then he meditated for a while, and while in his meditation, he started to build all this, plan all of these things, all the strategy, how to strengthen his power, his ability to win back his province. And then soon he left the retreat hut, and then he went back to conquering or taking back his province like that. So see, he started. It's hard to tell if he started with renunciation or disgust. It looks like he started practicing with disgust. But then if he because he didn't maintain that contemplation or practice, then he just left his practice and then went back again into that worldly thing. So this mind training is very, very important.
Rinpoche,
Yeah.
can you describe again like the earlier practice of like thinking about Guru Rinpoche in your heart before you go to bed, like the lotus, the 4-petal lotus, with the a sphere, a round sphere, and like the color and everything. Can you say it again?
Yeah.
Thank you.
The refuge tree that we are visualizing, there are two ways of doing it. One is the elaborate way. Then you can visualize Kuntu Zangpo, Dharmakaya Buddha, dissolving into Sambhogakaya, Vajradhara or Vajrasattva dissolving into Garabdorje to Shirisingha to Vimalamitra to Guru Rinpoche, and like that, just as we see so slowly by slowly like that. So then finally to Guru Rinpoche. And then either if you are visualizing now Guru Rinpoche separate from our Lama, then Guru Rinpoche, there is Long Dakini Eshe Tsogel King Trusong Detsen, then Long Chenpa, Jigme Lingpa, and then like that. So that's the long way of dissolving. But the instantaneous way is you can just visualize Guru Rinpoche or your Lama embodying all of the lineage Lamas. Then because in the morning we invoked the Lama and the Lama went up and sat in front of our crown chakra. Now, when we go to sleep, the Lama is dissolving down in the form of light through our central channel and nesting here at our heart. On top, right in our heart, there's a 4-petal lotus. 4-petal lotus in our heart. You can visualize it to be red in color. And then on top of this lotus, then the Lama dissolves there. And then you don't have to now separate the Lama and the lotus and the light. So it's just one. You don't have to keep them separate. Then this light, it's just like the size of a thumb, like this one, not bigger than that. So here, and then you place your attention, your focus there. And then just keep on focusing. And then you will not know when you fell asleep. So just focusing like that. And I'll mention that later when we're doing the practice. Right now, this is just the beginner's class, so we will keep that separate for our wonder practice. But for now, just do that. So Guru Rinpoche is there in the form of light, sphere of light. It's a ball of light there, radiant, not flickering. It's just constant there, like that. And then the brightness of that light, later on, you practice that it's filling your whole body, your whole bed, then your whole room and your whole house and your whole street, that whole area, that whole town or city, and then the whole country, and then the whole continent, and then the whole world, and then the whole universe, like that. You can expand in that way too. In the beginning, for those who expand in this way, then it is hard for them to fall asleep, because then you start to create, and then you'll have like hyper thinking. So for now, just focus in that tiny light there, thinking that this is Guru Rinpoche, and then you remain inseparable in that, and place your attention there. And then you will sleep very peacefully, and then you'll have vivid dreams.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
I also find like reflecting on the impermanence of like all the people that died during COVID and in the hospital kind of helped me, because I work as a nurse. I don't work with people in the hospital, but I work with like kids with the ventilator and stuff. And it's like, just removing the machine that's basically ending their life, like life and death is just one breath away.
Yes.
Yeah, for
You can,
many people.
yeah. So with that experience, or with that knowledge of knowing that moment of how painful, how sad it is, then you can think of Guru Rinpoche. You can, just like how we did the ending, the dissolution at the end, then you can think their body, that person who is dying, it's touched, it's connected by the blessings of Guru Rinpoche's wisdom mind. And just like we're saying, when you go out in the sun, when you're feeling cold, when you go out, then you feel just nice, blissful warmth, that you can think that light of Guru Rinpoche touches their body, and immediately they turn into a ball of light, and that ball of light dissolves into Guru Rinpoche's heart, like that. You can practice like that. Not, ordinary habit, we just feel sad and sorry and helpless. But here, you bring your practice, and then you use that one onto that person that you hear of, that you see in front of your eyes, or that you know, like that. This is how you practice. Then you'll feel your practice enhancing or developing. It's not just for ourselves. We have to practice this for all sentient beings. So you can do like you have a very good like fortunate environment to practice that, and it will benefit them immensely, because the shell of their body is not there, just their awareness is there. And just like when we dissolve, we say, okay, I'm dissolving, but then it's hard to let go of our experience because we still have this body. Then when you're practicing for them, it will help them tremendously.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not to alarm you, like I was saying, oh, this mind training, is it going to be forever? Like that, I was saying like that. Not forever. Right now, when we begin in a good way, then this mind training is applied onto our mind. What is our mind? Mind is affliction. Mind is the disease. Mind is the, how to say, the unhealthy mind, the disturbed mind, or the sick mind. That's why we say afflicted mind. So when there is desire, anger, ignorance, pride, jealousy, or if you want to just kind of summarize the three poisons and so forth, then without the mind training, we think we are practicing, but we are utilizing these three things constantly in our practice. So because we have very strong desire, when we practice Dharma, we are practicing with some kind of attachment for some kind of gain, some kind of, we want something. Now, we want all sentient beings to be brought to the state of Buddhahood. That is a desire, that is some kind of, but that's not poison. That is the wish, the aspiration, and so forth. That is not mental affliction. And then, practice with anger and so forth, with frustrations. And ignorance, not doing it properly and so forth. So, and in the mind training, we'll take care of all of those. And then later on, after a while, when that affliction is gone, then there is only awareness. And if there is awareness, then you don't have to care about mind training anymore, because the afflicted mind is not there, and the awareness mind does not need to be taking care of anything, does not need to look at negativities anymore, because there is no negativity anymore. And that is how you rid yourselves of that afflicted mind. So practitioners, Dzogchen practitioners and so forth, in their mind, you can search, you cannot find affliction. That's there. So in general Buddhist tradition, then you say until you reach Buddhahood, there is always some kind of thing. But for Dzogchen Shenpo practitioner, it's a joyful journey, it's a joyful ride. So you don't have to worry about it. I just didn't want to discourage you. So, we might think, oh, this might go on and on. So after a while, your mind will be free from that affliction. Then mind training is not necessary. Anybody else? So we have like maybe 5 more minutes and then we'll do the dedication. Okay. No questions. That's very good. That means you're confident. Okay. Now we'll do the dedication. So go to your dedication page. I think it's on page 20. Mm-hmm. So in the book that we sent, it's on page 47. Dedication of merit and prayers of aspiration. Sunam de tamje zigbane tomne nepe dranam pamje shen kega nache balong trupaye Sidbe tsolle drowan drowan sho jambe bawe jedara kemba dan kundo zambo deyan dejente dedan gunge jeso dalo chen gewa deda tamche raptong tesum shenpe gewa tamche ken owa gangla choto ngapat dagyen gewe tsawa deken chang zambo cheche raptong ora ge chancho semcho rinpo Wake panam ke che ke ba nyamba me pa dang kone gondu pe wara sho chancho semdai me dre chancho chela shawa da sangye namge yongzong shen de ke lenam bambara sho chancho semba namge ne Doden tola gondro sho gombo yene gang gongba semjen namla dejor sho semjen tamje de dan denjur chen enro tamjen tanto tongbar sho Chanchu senpa ganda shachu pa deda kunge menlam dru bara shoy. Gewa di gewa kun sonam yeshe sozo shen sonam yeshe le jongwe. Damba kune tobar sho rinchen geso deye drowa kun tadu dambe che dam medra che. Ranjin dene zoba tarjene chenga drobe jiten ze bara sho. Pende june temba peljuro che. Sera kundu chenla che juru che kya kam kundu dashi ge juru che drogen chamche sangye tombara sho lama ku kam samvara sewa de chodo ku ze ringvara sewa de tenle da jenge bar sewa de lama dan dewa me bar jenge lo kandu gebe gewa tamche du tore yenden den den do Kema Tadu Chedan Chejuru Che Tsujin Drube Rangwan Ye Parasho Terian Lama Damba Neje Che Nendan Sendu Chela Che Parasho Cheto Nene Ningpo Dendro Te Tsede Sempe Janso Gyawarasho Seba Dambe Chera Tenje Chen Chempe Rubla Chongan Me Parasho Lapchen Jenden Chore Me Baye Tamje Jamje Sange Tom Parasho Chezen Deyan Nede Kyo Korojin Choge Tadro Kundu Rajute Loje Pemo Rabdu Geje Chen Sange Temba Darshin Ge Parasho Lungri Tebe Mishe Drible Menga Sambe Tetson Monasho Komjo Yeke Nelo Jejen Se Sharab Samge Nangwa Ge Parasho Kenlo Chezom Ringlo Chen Zamling Sasum Chabar Pe Roju Chonsum Nawadang Midra Desum Gele Sho Nandra Resum Hanga Chekwe Nga Kuda Yeshe Rebe Jamle Pe Sapsan Nerjor Chembo Nyamlen La Herme Tuki Tingle Rochi Shoy Kewa Kundu Yangda Lamadang Dharme Cheke Pella Longche Chen Sadan Lamge Yente Rabzote Alden Lame Gopan Nuruto Sho Om Mahon Benzahan Guru Pemahan Siddhi Om Mahon Benzahan Guru Pemahan Siddhi Om Ahum Benzahan Guru Pema Siddhi Om Ahum Benzahan Guru Pema Siddhi Om Ahum Benzahan Guru Pema Tejengzang Benzar Samayanza Sindhi Pala Om Ahum Benzahan Guru Pema Tejengzang Benzar Samayanza Sindhi Pala Om Ahum Benzahan Guru Pema Tejengzang Benzar Samayanza Sindhi Pala Okay, everybody. Good night. And stay well. Rest well and see you on morning practice. Okay. Take care. Bye bye.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Good
Thank you,
night.
Kempo.
Thank you. Thank you. Alexander. Anika giving me anything? Yeah, and that's Thomas. Okay, good night. Frederico, good night.
Hello.
Motto, whoever is that one, good night. Belinda, good night. Lindsay.
Hello. I
Yes.
can't hear you. Now I can.
Anika me? Anna.
I need 131040005.
Yeah, Eddie me. Eddie. Okay, bye. Okay, take care. Bye. Good night. Bye.